Hi everybody. So this video is not about EHCPs. It's about being triggered and overwhelmed and not being able to advocate or communicate in that moment. I am going to talk about domestic violence and other types of abuse. So if those will trigger you, then you might choose not to watch the video. Now, I have a lot of parents who contact me, and almost every parent that I've spoken to has obviously come to us as an advocacy service because they are overwhelmed and they feel like they're not quite able to understand the information enough or, have the confidence to advocate. And this made me think, and in my own experience, at times when that's been the case for me. And I've had an incident over the last 2 days, and it's in regards to a professional communication with another person, another adult, and it's to do with myself, not with people that I work for. Now, when I advocate for other people, it's very, very easy for me to have really clear boundaries and to not be impacted by having to ask difficult questions or have challenging conversations. When it's for myself, and I haven't really done this for a long, long time, I don't generally have to advocate for myself. I have in the past. So lots of you will know, or you may know, that I've come to this role because I've experienced my own court. I've been to court myself without legal support because of domestic violence that I experienced from my ex-husband. Now, that was a very, very challenging situation that I went through, and subsequently I had to go to court around over 15 times in the last 3 years. I have now been signed off of having to go to court. And that was very, very difficult for me. I was having panic attacks. I was finding it really, really challenging, having these really conflict-driven discussions with a judge. It was my ex-husband would be in the courtroom, and it was about our children. Now, what happened to me this week was quite unusual and strange for me. So the interaction I then had with this professional, which really was not something high level, it completely brought back the kind of physical sensations that I used to have when I was either being abused by my husband or going to court. It was very, very peculiar because I got the same sensation in my body. I felt fight or flight. I was really tense, and I had to use everything that I've learned over the last few years to bring me back into myself, so that I was able to move forward in this current day scenario in a professional manner. When my husband was, when I was with my husband and we were together, when you're in a domestic violence scenario, and actually, he will agree with me, and we have both moved forward considerably in the last 3 years. But there's a real sense of you're not knowing what you've done wrong, and you're really unsure, and you don't know what's going on. So there's a real fear all the time that, you're unaware. And I got those same feelings this last week. Now, it wasn't the other professional person's fault. It was my own response to their actions and their words. It came from my historic feelings. Now, what I thought to myself is, I think this probably happens quite often when parents are trying to advocate for their children. You will be experiencing really challenging home lives, supporting your children who have special educational needs. You may have experienced domestic violence, sexual violence, child abuse yourself. You may have your own neurodiversity, and your own like strengths and challenges because of that. You may have mental health concerns. You may have medical concerns that are impacting you. So when you're trying to advocate for your child, you're already in a state of fight or flight, and those communications you're having with the other, say your child's teacher. You ask your child's teacher, can Bobby bring in a packed lunch today instead of have a school dinner? And the teacher says no, and you walk out and you start sobbing, or you have a panic attack. I've had a panic attack at school. It was a long time ago, but it was over something really, really minor. But it felt really overwhelming for me because of all the stuff that I was carrying with me. My tips, I can't even call them tips because, this is such a massive, massive subject, but you're not going to be able to take away what you've experienced in your life. I can't take away the fact that I'm a victim of domestic violence, but I can have boundaries and tools that I use when I'm triggered in my current life to help me. So my first thing that I do if I'm feeling triggered, and I did this over the last few days, and I have done it in the past in communications with like family or things going on. I will really sit down and I will put a piece of paper down and I will write down what's gone on and all of the things. So maybe I didn't sleep last night. Maybe maybe I'm not feeling well. I've got flu. Maybe I've, have a difficult situation with my boyfriend. So all of the things that are impacting my life at that point in time, when I'm finding that communication with a professional or a teacher or a family member difficult. So to look at everything that's kind of having an impact on me, I'm doing that because it's almost like all these different things are impacting you all the time. And so when you have to then go for, talk to the local authority about your child's EHCP, for example, that just puts too much in the pot and it just overflows. But putting down in black and white what's going on for you can help you to realise, God, I'm not going crazy. This is really hard. I'm finding this hard because I'm so exhausted because of this, and this. So black and white, put it down on paper, make it really clear for yourself what's going on. The next thing is having a set of values that you hold really close to yourself. So my values are about connection, nurture, adventure, responsibility. And when I have a situation arise, I also sit down and I get a book out and I write down, in line with my values, why I'm so impacted by the situation. So say I had a fallout with a friend, I would write down, connection. Well, connection is so important to me. And so if a friend is having, if I have a difficulty with someone, it really, really hurts me a lot. And I can then rationalize why these things are impacting me so heavily. You can use your values to make decisions. So I'm going to do a little thing about values, actually, and I'm going to put it as a blog on our website to tell you more, because it's a huge, huge subject. And the last thing I do is when I'm triggered and when I'm anxious, I have to move around. I have a lot of physical energy that builds up inside me. So when I was having this dialogue this week with a professional, I was feeling more tense. And before replying, before communicating, I hoovered my whole house. Sounds weird, and it really helped my house, actually, because it's clean now. But what it did is it put me in the right frame of mind, because I released all that physical energy. When I used to go to court, I used to rock side to side. I used to walk around the courtroom. I couldn't just sit and wait in a chair. I was so tense. I knew that if I just sat and waited, I was going to have a panic attack. So I had to move around. It's also why I love running. And I do love cleaning. Weird, I know, but I do. So being really physical, for me, that was what I needed to do. For you, it might be that before you send that email, you need to have a cup of tea, you need to have a bath, you need to go out in the garden and just like stand on the grass. You need to play with your child just to bring you back into yourself. So this is when you're triggered. If you're in a meeting and you're feeling overwhelmed, it is absolutely fine to ask for a break. Go to the toilet. I mean, we're like talking like, sensory breaks at school for children, but adults need them too. So have a think about those three things. I'm going to write them in the comments. And it's about looking at what's going on and why you're having that challenge in terms of advocating. It is so relentless and overwhelming advocating within the EHCP process, and I completely understand that. We do it like day in, day out, and it can be just so exhausting. But as exhausting as it is something that you have to do to get your child what they need. So looking at these tools that you can use for yourself to protect yourself and have boundaries is really important so you can achieve the right outcomes. So if you've got any questions about that, or even if that's something that you want to phone up and you want to have a call with us about how to create your own boundaries in terms of professional contact, we can help with that. So have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon.